Am I live? Just kidding. It's like, do I count 5 seconds? Do I go? No, I'm just kidding. I need to watch my own videos. Ha! Oh, I don't have to wear these. Not while I don't have no sound to listen to. So anyways, welcome back to Talk with Rose, where we talk a lot of things. So right now we kind of are talking about Gypsy Rose and the tea that's going around about that. So I don't have my crime scene stuff up because we're talking about tea now. We're not talking about the crime and everything. We're talking about the gossip that's going around lately. But we're also going to talk more other things. So join us tonight on Twitch and Discord. My Discord, if you need my Discord, ask. We're going to be watching some Eurovision, and tomorrow we'll be making some YouTube videos on Eurovision because I am Talk with Rose, and it's not just Talk Crime with Rose, it's Talk Your Interests with Rose. What are you interested in? I do crime and psychology. I also do other things, but mostly crime and psychology. That's what I started 9 years ago. That's what I'm continuing now. And that's what I use my platforms for, is I'm here to share my life story, and I have decades of experiences from myself, my friends, my family. I've watched everybody, and I'm here to not tell you what to do, but just be like, this is how life goes, and you're in this part of life. Here's some decisions, Here's a wrong decision I made. Here's a right decision I made, And we'll kind of get into that little bit about, because there is some sympathy I do have for Gypsy right now. It's not totally everything's negative, because I do see some sides that people don't talk about, and that's also what my channel is about, to talk about some things that people don't see, that people aren't talking about. There's some things out there that people aren't talking about that I feel like maybe should be mentioned. And we're going to do that, a couple things, one with Ryan in this video and one with Gypsy. And I will give props to anybody's YouTube videos that I watched and got some of this info from. So first, actually, we're going to start with, I got it from Radiant Brit, is the first YouTube video that I heard about the ring, and then Cinema Shogun. And so if you want to see somebody talk about the ring, I mean, a lot of people are, but the two I watch are Radiant Brit and Cinema Shogun. So let's get into this ring. First of all, yes, like Britt said, are we going to send her cookies, give her congrats for giving Ryan back his mother's heirloom? Seriously? Her mother's heirloom? She's all saying, well, he cares about the ring. Well, if it is a family heirloom, I know how that is. Okay, my brother passed away over 6 weeks ago, and people stole some of my brother's stuff, and I'm a little upset about that, because it's my brother's stuff. I had a right to keep some of my brother's memories. I don't care what your opinion on it was, why I wanted to keep it, because it's valuable. Yeah, it is valuable. There is some there is that monetary value on it. Like, you can go sell it, but there's also that sentimental value of, this is the last thing I did with my brother for the last several months before he passed on, and I would like to semi kind of continue that. And so don't get down on Ryan because he wants a family heirloom back. It's not about money, Gypsy. It's not about money. It's seriously about, this is passed down in my family. I know when I married my first husband, I wasn't in it for love and everything, and I wasn't hurt when his mom wouldn't give me the family ring. I think we both knew the marriage wasn't going to work out. And so when she started wearing the family ring, I didn't get upset. Because it was his family's ring. And I did leave him. I didn't give him the wedding ring back, but it was a cheap one anyways. It wasn't like, it wasn't a diamond. I don't wear diamonds. This one's aquamarine. The other one was topaz. Like, I don't wear diamonds. I don't wear expensive rings. I wear cheap rings because I don't believe in wearing $2,000 on my finger. So don't come stealing my ring. It's only worth $100 or less. It's aquamarine. It didn't cost that much money, so it's not worth anything. But I don't. That ring looked pretty good and pretty big, and you know, it doesn't matter the monetary value. It matters the sentimental value. And so, and then I find it funny. She left a note that said, "Let's see, is this the? I'm sorry. You and I deserve happiness." Okay. Nothing about I'm sorry, Ryan, you scared me. I can't do another abusive relationship. Not I'm sorry, I'm scared. I need some time alone. Not um you're freaking me out. No, no, nothing. No, nothing about your hey Joshy Washy Dashi, how you doing? No, you're freaking me out here a little bit. No, I'm scared. No, give me some time. And because there was no working this out, it was all about my happiness, and I'm going to move on with Ken, and your happiness because I'm never going to make you happy. And so that's the little bit I care about your happiness, is that I know I'm not going to make you happy. And so she went ahead and just booked it with, it's happiness. It's happiness. It's not abuse, it's happiness. Same with the reason why Fancy and Christy stopped getting along was because when Fancy finally, she'd been with the family for like 3 years. I even read a quote in a magazine the other day that had Fancy in it quoting Gypsy, and she was basically Gypsy's PR, saying, "Oh, well, Gypsy didn't mean that." Because I was looking up stuff about the act the other day, which we're gonna get into that in just a minute. But yeah, she was the PR person for, and what got them was because out of the whole interrogation video, never once, not once, did Gypsy say, "Okay, my mom abused me. I asked Nick to do it. My mom abused me. My mom made me get surgeries. I couldn't handle it." Where was the abuse talk to the cops? Where was trying to get their sympathy for the abuse? It wasn't until the trial started. And then she told her lawyers something that she said she wasn't even truthful on. So it's like, what did you tell your lawyers and what was truth and what wasn't truth? Because you did admit to lying to your lawyers. And then you laughed about it, which Deception Detective would call that I wonder if he would call that laugh a duper's delight. Because I was sitting there going, if he was watching this, would he call this moment a duper's delight? Because she bursts out giggling all of a sudden because she knows she duped her lawyers. And if you want to know what duper's delight is, look up Deception Detective. He'll show you OJ and this other guy that his daughter's missing, Summer Wells, his father. Duper's delight. Somebody laughs and giggles when they can't help that they're duping you. Crazy. But I love the Deception Detective. So, yeah. So I was like, okay, whatever. Here we go. The abuse story comes out later on when people start questioning her more. So I wonder if a little bit of the truth spills out in that moment where she says it's just about happiness. And I don't think she ever intended to tell TMZ that, so I don't know why she ultimately ended up telling TMZ that. Because it took her, 2-3 weeks to tell TMZ that. And so it is in a TMZ article. You can read that from TMZ if you haven't already. And whatever. Don't talk about the abuse till after, and you need to do more explanation and make yourself look more like a victim, I guess. Now I do have to say, on behalf of Gypsy leaving one husband and bouncing into the next, this is iffy because she is bouncing back to an ex, which I've seen that done before by my friends. And when I left my first husband, a week later, I was with the guy that I'm with now, and I've been with him for 21 years now. But the reason why I transferred so fast from one guy to the next, yeah, I did have low confidence, and I didn't want to be a single mom, and I'll admit I did have some low confidence. But I was also changing to make the biggest change in my life. And I usually don't go into talking too much about that because I don't talk religion and politics and stuff on my stream unless you really want to get into that. But it does have to do with religion and stuff, which my first husband was mad because he knew that I was religious and he wasn't when we got married. And during the course of our 3 years marriage, it just wear and teared on me to the point where when I did run into that really great religious guy, I wanted that new life, and I went and got it. Hey, Bretio. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. Tea time, everybody agrees. Yes, you're always the problem, Bread. But tomorrow, I gotta make a background for our Eurovision talk. I gotta make a background later for our Eurovision talk. Because tomorrow, yes, Joshy, my tea and biscuits guy. I got more biscuits, Joshy. See? I got more biscuits. Oh, and more of these biscuits, too. I had to. They're just too addicting. I got more biscuits, Joshy. I finally did my grocery shopping and went and got biscuits. We gotta have our tea and biscuits. Because they're so good. I love biscotti. I know it's hard and crunchy, and people are looking for that soft, moist cookie, but I just love a good biscotti. Okay, second thing we'll go into, the guy on sofa. I think that's his channel, Guy on Sofa. Now, I'm going to give you part of, like, a small tidbit into what his video was. But if you want more tidbits from Gypsy's book and you want to dive deeper into Gypsy's book, he read it. He said in like 2 days it was a quick read. He says it's not like laid out like a book. It's laid out more like The Cursed Child, Harry Potter Cursed Child. It's like a script. It's basically her on the phone with Michelle Dean and their conversations that they had over a course of 3 years. So it's her and Michelle Dean talking for 3 years. You gotta talk about Gypsy. We have to. She's the biggest tea. And we're gonna get into Taylor Swift in just a second too. Wait for the Taylor Swift part to come up. Yep, Eurovision. Tomorrow is our Eurovision YouTube video where we're gonna talk about the countries and the videos and stuff that we just watched and the music we just watched and who we think's gonna win it and stuff. So tomorrow YouTube is gonna go into Eurovision, because I don't want to just talk crime and psychology. I do love crime and psychology and gossip, but I also do like other things. So anyways, so Guy on the Sofa, I wrote down the parts of the book that I was just like, okay, we need to correct this, okay? Or we need some more emphasis on this, okay? Because we're not looking at this a little deeper. He didn't look at this deeper. He went surface deep. The Guy on the Sofa, love him. Don't always agree with him, but still love his videos. You don't always have to agree with somebody to love their videos. But he just kind of goes surface deep into Gypsy's story, where he listens to what Gypsy says, and he doesn't go deeper in like my iceberg where I go deeper into. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and I researched a bunch on the internet and I went deep into her story. I watched the interrogation videos. I went for the deepest dive and went beyond what Gypsy said. So anyway, she starts off the book with an intro letter. So in prison, she had to write a letter to her mom. So when you're asking for, when you're in a program and you're asking for, they do this drug programs, jail programs, all kinds of programs to the person that abused you, you have to write a letter. And you can either throw it away, you could keep it, you could give it to the person. All it is about you getting that release and forgiving yourself at least. And forgiving them and forgiving yourself and just kind of letting it go. I remember one time I did write a letter to my abuser who abused me when I was 6. And I put a stamp on it and everything. And I was like, I'm going to be bold and I'm going to be brave enough and I'm going to mail this to him. 2 months later, I was walking around my mom's house and I was looking for something. And I opened up this drawer. And there's the letter, stamped and everything, ready to go to the mailbox. But never went. And I just felt so much relief just thinking it went, that I ended up just throwing the letter away. I didn't even go, oh, I got to put this in the mailbox. And I trashed it. And I said, you know what? I thought it got sent. I thought I was going to have to deal with the fact that I sent it, but I didn't. But I dealt enough with those feelings that at least, okay, at least I did it. And so, yeah. So the letter kind of goes into, she says, every day since the time of your death, I have had nothing but time to reflect on the choices that have led me to where I am today. Moreover, how your own actions framed the circumstances around mine. So people are talking about Gypsy needs to take accountability. And surface value, this looks like she's taking accountability. But look at that last line one more time. She's saying your actions made me do this. Nobody makes you do anything. Nobody, unless they're literally holding a gun to your head. Nobody makes you do this. And if you want to get into the argument whether Gypsy was free or not, we could get into that argument. Because according to the text messages to Nick, 2 days before Nick even came, like on the 7th or 8th, she got kicked out of the house and she was sleeping in the shed with the bugs. She was free, okay? She was free to go. But we're going to get into that in just a minute, I think, because I think I have more notes on that in just a minute. Yes, I do. I do have more notes on that in just a minute. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. So basically, once again, she says, your actions. Framed her circumstances so that she had to do those actions. So it's a big debate. Did she have to unalive her mom or not? So that's not taking accountability, in my opinion, that she's, once again, she shouldn't even talk about her mother's actions. But we're going to get into that again in a minute, too. There's some more to this as the book goes down. Once again, she reiterates my part in your murder, which is what everybody's mad at. One of the first interviews she gave a week after she was out of prison, she said, well, I did my part. And then Nick Hat played his part. And I played my part. So once again, she's not taking accountability because she's saying, well, I had a part. But my part was just the idea. But Nick actually carried the idea out. In the state that I live in, it's called first principle. If it's your idea, your count is if you did it. So I know she's hanging on Missouri words. Missouri doesn't have the first principle law. I know my state does. If it was my idea, I'd be going down. And then she did say sorry for having a part in your death. And it's like, she ends the letter with, she starts the letter with my part in your murder, and then she goes into but your actions, and then she ends it but sorry for having that part. But I don't know how to take that sorry. And then she does talk about Nick in the book. She goes down later and talks about Nick in the book. And she said, Nick made the conscious choice She was just the catalyst that helped Nick lose his life, because Nick lost his life that day. She's saying that day I caused 2 people. One was literally unalived and one went to prison for life. And so 2 lives are trashed. And so she does kind of admit up to, well, I was the catalyst. And kinda, you were the catalyst. But does the catalyst exactly... Is it okay to be a catalyst? You're just a catalyst, I guess. I guess it's okay to be a catalyst. But I guess at least she's talking about it. She's not saying sorry for it. She's talking about it. But then she goes on to say, like, Nick was one of the many people that were taken in by her mom's disease, and they can act that hurt so, and the con act. Her mom's disease and her mom's cons is what hurt so many people. So once again, she's going back to her mom's actions in this. She's saying, but it was my mom's disease and it was my mom's con that hurt people. And so that led me to being the catalyst to Nick doing this. And so it's kind of like, is she really taking accountability? Because once again, she's leaning back on her mom. Her mom's disease, it was her mom's con. It was her mom's. Now, I don't doubt that, okay, once again, let's put Dee Dee. Dee Dee's the catalyst. It's her con. Gypsy did play along in it because she knew she can walk. She knew that wasn't her voice. She wasn't taking the pills. She wasn't going to the doctors all the time. Fancy has the proof that she wasn't going to the doctors. Plus, after she turned 18, Medicaid wouldn't cover her. And so that's one reason why between 2011 and 2015, the doctor's visits drop off to nothing except for the feeding tube. They have to get it cleaned every once in a while. And there's people on the internet that I don't know where they are, but I've heard people talk about it. You can go find somebody's videos that'll talk about the feeding tube, and they'll tell you the reason why the feeding tube kept getting infected and dirty is because they're not flushing it out. And if they're not flushing it out, it means they're not using it. Because I do know that my dad at one time had a PICC line in his heart, and for 30 days straight, every 8 hours on the dot, so at 6 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, and 10 a.m. on the dot, I had to flush it, put the medicine in, flush it. So I had to grab 2 saline syringes and 1 medicine and wipes. And so I had to wipe it, flush it, medicine, flush it, wipe it, close it up, put everything away. And so I understand that part. And for 30 days, my dad's PICC line did not get dirty, and his infection went away, and he got it taken out. So everything was fine. Everything ultimately ended up fine. And so it's like, yeah, I can see that it probably is getting corroded and infected from stomach acid and everything flowing into it, and you're not flushing the stomach acid back out. And if you're not flushing it, you're not using it, because you have to flush it, feed it, flush it. Anytime you have a line into your body, you have to flush that line. So we're going to go on talking about the act. I guess, okay, so I found out a little bit more about the act, how it was. So, I don't know if it was Michelle Dean? Michelle Dean's the one who talked on the phone with Gypsy for like 5 years or something like that, and became Gypsy's friend. But somebody named Michelle did write the act, but her last name wasn't Dean. But, so 2 people wrote this BuzzFeed article called Dee Dee Wanted Her Daughter to Be Sick, Gypsy Wanted Her Mom to Be Murdered. And that's how the act got wrote. And the act was written off of, these are jail visits once again, prison visits to Gypsy. And so somebody actually in a past video got down on me for saying something I used in the act, which we're going to get into that in just a second, because that actually comes back up. Rose, I'm going to DM you something. Okay. Be like, I shouldn't. This is a different kind of stream. I don't play on my phone on YouTube. Maybe Twitch. Just kidding. But once again, Gypsy said no one consulted her. And biggest deal is Christy's mad because the lady said, okay, we're going to do the act off this BuzzFeed article and these interviews we did with Gypsy, and we'll give you 50%. And then they didn't. And there was no contract signed. It was just a verbal talking. So I don't know why they didn't follow through with the 50%, but they weren't contracted to. So you know what? If somebody tells you they're going to give 50%, they write that in a contract. And then they asked Patricia Arquette. There is a video out there if you look up the act and how it was made. I love it because I said this in my very, very, very first Gypsy one I did. Gypsy, why did you unalive your mom? The first video, the why one I did, I said this. And now I finally see Patricia Arquette back it up. Because they asked Patricia Arquette, why did she unalive her mother? And she said, well, we didn't get to talk to Gypsy in prison. She didn't accept us. But we luckily had a producer that had. And she said that, well, what happens if I didn't unalive my mom? I leave her. She's all alone. She goes to prison for the cons. Because now Gypsy's up and walking and not taking her meds and looking like a normal person. So the con's going to come out. The con was coming out one way or another. Gypsy chose how it came out. Through the unaliving of her mother. And so I was sitting there going, see, I told you Gypsy did it. Because two can keep a secret if one is dead. Exactly. Gypsy's narrative now, guys. Because Gypsy knew they were headed for prison. If she just walked out of that house free. And so Patricia Arquette will tell you all about it. Go watch Patricia Arquette on Ellen, unfortunately. So Gypsy, I did get to, if you go to Guy on the Sofa's channel, he'll show you this picture that Gypsy had to draw in jail. And she drew a picture, and it has a picture frame, and in the picture frame is a picture of their house, and then Dee Dee's over here off to the side, and Gypsy standing in front of her. And there's a hand holding a hammer, and the hammer has smashed the picture, and the shards are on the desk. And the shards have people's faces that represent the affected people, because remember how Gypsy talked about people who were affected by the disease and the con? Well, the shards were faces of the people that were affected by it. The hand is Gypsy's, and the hammer says Nick on it. Because she says that's what it's like. Like, she did it, but Nick was the hammer. Which I think that's where she takes accountability for real. Is when she's sitting there taking this hammer and smashing up her life and blowing up her life. And because she'll tell you, she'll talk about her past life. She's like, well, there's Dan, and then there's Ken, and then there's Ryan. And she's like, oh, I don't count Nick. And you're going, he really is just a hammer to you, isn't he? Because you won't put Nick in your past loves. Even though you dated him for more than 2 years, 3 years. You did all kinds of things with Nick. As if you were dating. You told him you guys were dating. You told him you loved him. But you won't count him. Because you lied to him completely. Because you needed the hammer. You lied to the hammer so that it would work. And that really bugs me. That really bugs me. And this is what bugs everybody. is when you find out Nick is just the hammer. And now he's life in prison. Because he is just the hammer. Gypsy finally admits he's the hammer. Oh, and I find it funny that she also goes into the book talking about how she was addicted to Suboxone. Not opiates. Suboxone. Now, the funny thing about Suboxone is, if Gypsy, first of all, that made me think back to her interrogation videos. They're in there for hours on end. Now, I've been addicted to opiates. I could not go more than 2 hours without thinking about one. She does really good in that interrogation room for hours, sleeping and not even thinking about it. Not being fidgety. I would have been fidgety. I would have been pacing for multiple reasons, because why am I in there? Where's my meds? I need my pills. You know, I would have been off that wall. And as she got into prison, relapsing like that, the doctors and nurses would have checked her out and would have prescribed her Suboxone. She wouldn't have had to get addicted for it and pay for it. She would have been given Suboxone. It would have took a few days. And by then, you're pretty much over your... It takes a few days for them to check you out. You don't walk in prison and say, I'm addicted, give me Suboxone. Takes a few days to get you. Well, it depends on the med. Suboxone might be faster. My meds took a little bit longer because, well, they weren't Suboxone, so they weren't opiates either. But I had some meds that I couldn't go daily without, and it took like 4 days to get my meds. But by that time that fourth day came out, I was released, so. And so basically, I think what Gypsy's doing right now is I think she's doubling down because she's doesn't have confidence in what she's doing, and she's doubling down and showing you that she's, oh, I know what I'm doing. Because they also talk about when Gypsy was about to leave prison, when Gypsy was dating Ryan, not only did Rod and Christy not want her to marry Ryan and be single when she got out, so did her cellmates. And she said, no, I know what I am, and I know I want to be married. And so she got out and she tried to double down on that. But when that didn't work out, she's like tripling down, double downing on Ken now. Because she's like, no, nobody gets to tell me. Because if you tell me who I am, you're no better than my mother. And she keeps leaning on that victimhood. So now let's talk a little bit about Ryan. Because I told you I want to step in Ryan's shoes for a minute. Because I am upset at what Gypsy's doing. Because he don't do this. So first she said he was a food hoarder. And Guy on the Sofa was like, yeah, 10-year ketchup in the fridge. So she's going as far to make people, like, imagine a ketchup bottle oozing for 10 years. And Gypsy threw that out and he got angry. But if you listen to a few more podcasts and people talking, they'll tell you, so he would go to, like, when they would go film for Lifetime would provide you with food. And he would barely eat there, and he would put it in a to-go box and take that home. And because they were filming a lot, like Ryan said, that happened a lot. Now look at it. Step into Ryan's shoes for a minute, okay? Step into Ryan's shoes for a minute. Ryan's a big guy. He's not tall, he's big. He's a big guy, okay? And you're standing around a table full of, I bet they had some pretty damn good food, because sometimes at those things, depending upon their budget, what kind of food they can serve. I bet you Ryan was a little self-conscious to eat what he wanted in front of them, so he nibbled a little bit of what he wanted and said, I'll go eat the rest in the privacy of my own home where I feel confident. But then he gets home And Gypsy's not making him feel confident. So yeah, it's sitting there in the fridge. And yes, he wanted it. But he doesn't know when to eat it because everything's about Gypsy and Gypsy's problems. Gypsy's the ultimate victim. Nobody else can be a victim. Ryan cannot be a victim of his circumstances. Ryan cannot have past trauma, and he cannot be a victim. And so therefore, his food hoarding has to be equivalent to Dee Dee. It can't be equivalent to his own insecurities and his own problems. I have the opposite problem of Ryan. I'm really tiny. Very tiny. I used to be tinier than this. And when people saw me eat, they'd be like, damn, Rose, I can't believe you can eat that much. You're so tiny. Where do you store it all? So you don't want to eat in front of people. So when I would go out, people would say, do you want to eat, Rose? And I would say, no, nothing for me. And I would starve until I got home. Because I didn't want people saying, damn, Rose, where do you put that away? Because I love food. I do. Food is good. Food is good. But I don't want to eat it in front of people. No matter how much I'm dying inside. No matter how much I want what you have. I will starve my ass off. I will starve my butt off until I get home. Because I don't want you judging me. I don't want your judgment. And so, yeah, I might take something home. Store it for later. When I feel like I can eat it without being judged. And so I can just see Ryan having the very opposite problem of me. Going, wow, of course Ryan can eat all that. You know, people back there whispering and looking at him going, yeah, you know. And it's sad when you can't even eat in front of your wife. Your wife should be the number one person that you can take that to-go box home and feel like you can open it up and dive into it. And people are saying Ryan's looking thinner. And I think it's because he's being judged so heavily right now that I think food is disgusting Ryan right now. That he's at this point where, can you imagine your wife out there? You have a confidence problem, an internal problem with food and people judging you when you eat. And now she's out there blasting it. She's got you on blast. And I bet you he can't eat right now. I bet you he can't eat. Poor guy. I feel really bad for him because Gypsy is making him into a victim right now. It is not okay to perpetrate someone just because you're a victim. It's not okay. It's not okay to put somebody on blast. It's called being a bully. Your leaving Ryan should be between you and him. Ryan's not putting you on blast. Who knows what you told Ryan, and he's not putting you on blast. But you are blasting his eating problem everywhere. And he looks so sad in his videos. And I feel bad for him. And now let's talk about Gypsy Rose and her problem with Taylor Swift. What do you think, Brad? Think she's got a problem and obsession with Taylor Swift? I think she's got more obsession than you can imagine. Because Gypsy Rose is like, when she got out of jail, she's like, well, I'm getting a second chance at life. And if you watch Toddy One Skip's video, he'd be like, second, you're on, he's like, can you count? You're on your third, fourth, fifth, what chance are you on? Because Gypsy's like, well, I changed my hair, and I changed my boyfriend, and I changed my clothes, so I'm in a new era. And she's talking like she's Taylor Swift's best buddy. She's like, I'm in my new Taylor Swift era. Taylor Swift has brought me into a new era. And so this is another chance. So now you gotta like me now that I've changed my clothes, I've changed my hair, and I changed my boyfriend. Give me one more chance. One more chance to prove to you that I'm a good person. Give me that one more chance. Because I'm in a new era. And I'm tired of hearing Gypsy say that word era. I'm just at that point where it's like, is every time she says era, it's like, okay, this isn't okay, Taylor Swift gets to have eras because she's an artist. And each new album she brings out is a new era in her life. It's not another chance. It's just she's gotten a little bit older. She's learned a little more life lessons. See, that's what eras are, Gypsy. Life lessons, writing and singing about them, and putting it out there, okay? Taylor Swift has eras. Not chances. She's like, okay, this is the part. So she's got her country era where she started out as a 16-year-old little girl. Not a little girl, teenager. That's one era. You know, Brett will tell you about the eras. Yeah, you shush. That's Taylor's thing. She doesn't have as problem than me, but Gypsy wants to be the ultimate victim out there. I can match some of the problems she talks about. And being a victim isn't matching or saying my problems are more than yours, or putting someone down and saying, no, your problems are less than mine. Everybody is a victim because they handle things differently. Because she could talk about one case with her grandfather. I was counting to my husband the other day, and I just cried. Because I don't want to keep putting up fingers. And some of my abusers are in my life today, and they are bullies to me. And I have to treat them with respect. And so it's like, you want to start matching stories? But I'm actually out there helping people with my platform. I'm not out there to tell everybody how much a victim I am. Because this is the first time my stream has seen me hold up fingers. They know I have some things in my past. But I don't sit there and rub it in their faces and start counting. I do that for my husband because I can talk to my husband. I start counting. Because I can count and I can cry to him. But when I am on my platform, it's not about me. It's about the person that walked in and says, I have a problem, Rose. And I say, what's your problem? And I say, you talk to me about your problem. And this moment, I stop my gaming because this moment is about you. Whatever game we're playing stops. And that moment is about them. And my whole community and stream, we drop my Discord link, we talk to them, and we say, you know, if you further want to talk more off stream in more privacy, here's the Discord. And I get people all the time dropping their stories in Discord. And I'm there to answer it. I don't just say, I'm sorry. I'm there to answer it. That's what's being an advocate and everything's about. It's not about you. It's not about your problems. It's not about that you're a victim. It's not about that your problems are more than somebody else's. It's not that I can count more fingers than you. It's about their problem at that moment, and you should have been there for your husband Ryan when he was having problems. And then maybe you could have cleaned out that fridge together, not while he was at work behind his back. The eras goes like Taylor Swift, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, Reputation, Folklore, Evermore, Midnights. Yeah, and I'm liking her Tortured Poets Department era. I'm a little mad at who got down on it. I'm a little mad, but I'm liking this. Because like I said, I don't know why I don't relate to Fortnite. Like, totally. I'm not in that situation. But I love that song because I can see where they're coming from. I can see that person and their problem in Fortnite. I could see it. And so that's what it's about. It's about liking the song because you can see that somebody else has that problem. And yeah, so that's basically my tea and my rant on Gypsy today. Quit changing eras and just do what you said you're going to do. Get a platform and go advocate. Quit showing off every new boyfriend. And quit putting Ryan on blast because you're being a bully. You're being a bully putting Ryan on blast. He has problems too. You're not the only one in this world with problems. I mean, me and Brad yesterday were just talking about somebody who was having fun with their problem, and it's like, is it really that fun? Somebody else is laughing at a problem while somebody else is having a harder time with that problem. And it's just, okay. It's like, sure, go ahead, laugh it away. Because I don't really think that having a problem is fun, but that's how you handle it. But thank you guys for coming in and chatting with me and hearing my little tea and rant on Gypsy today. And tell me what you think down in the comment section and let me know. And you can also find me over there on Twitch, same name, Talk with Rose. I'm over there on Twitch gaming and having fun with my community. And let's go game, Bredio and Joshio, and yeah, let's go have some fun now. We're done with tea time. We're gonna go have fun now. All right, love you guys, love my YouTubers. You guys stay awesome, stay great, stay loved, stay warm, stay happy, and stay safe and loved. And we will see you on another video.